Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author Nancy Saxton-Lopez. And when I say co-author, I mean that she's my co-author on our book, The Pet Loss Companion, Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups, which is really the platform from which we started doing this program. And the thing we can do with this program, which you can't do with a book, is that we can have a dialogue with you. And that's a lot of what we do on this program. And in fact, today we're going to be reading a couple of letters from people and commenting on them. So if you'd like to send us your communication about your loss or about where you are in the recovery journey that you're going through with your grief, you can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com and Nancy at nsaxtonlopez at csmpc.com. You can support our program in a lot of different ways, and all of what I'm going through really quickly on the intro is in the description that accompanies the program, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching or listening to a replay. One of the main things that we like to mention is that you can give us a little bit of sponsorship by joining the Substack as a subscriber. And the Substack is a place where we post the correspondence that audience members have told us it's okay to share, either on the program or on the Substack. We post their correspondence, the beautiful pictures they send us, and our responses. And sometimes there's quite a bit of back and forth. And so if you would benefit from reading in addition to listening, that's something that you might want to visit. There's a small subscription fee. And in any case, if you write to us, please let us know if it's okay to share your content. If you are not so comfortable with that, one or both of us will write back to you in any case. And we appreciate that it sometimes is too hard to share, or that maybe there are parts of your correspondence that you'd prefer not to share. This program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society, which is an adoption center, a rescue center, and Dakin sponsors a number of different programs and resources that are helpful for us, those of us who have beloved animal companions as family members. And one of the programs that they sponsor is a monthly pet loss support group over Zoom that I facilitate. It's entirely free, and the link to the registration is included in the description. And it meets the second Tuesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. You can join from anywhere in the world. And in fact, we do have people who join from lots of different places in the world, and that always makes for an interesting mix. Also, please consider subscribing on YouTube if you haven't already, because that changes the algorithm in a way that alerts people who might benefit from this program and don't yet know about it that it is here as a resource. And also, if you make a comment or you give a thumbs up, all of those things do the same. They alert the algorithm to raise the visibility of the program, and that makes it more accessible to those who may benefit from it. And finally, we want you to know that we have an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave. Bereave makes very finely crafted granite plaques that can carry the image of your lost family member and also whatever text that you might like included. And it's the kind of thing that you would put on a memorial garden or a grave site or someplace in your home, maybe, where you keep mementos. And if you purchase a plaque through the link in our description, if you purchase the plaque that way, we get a little bit of a kickback, a little bit of support as well. And Nancy's showing the plaque that they gave us as an example, because we want to make sure that if we're talking about this, that it is substantial, and it's really quite a substantial item. So Nancy, want to get us started for today?
Also, we want to talk about YouTube. As the algorithm, right?
I did mention that. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I went through it really quick, but I did. So yes, I'll mention it again. If you subscribe on YouTube or you give a thumbs up, that will make it so that other people will more readily get a hold of the program. And so it's a way to bring others into awareness that the program is here for them as well. But thanks for, why not double exposing it that way?
So tonight we have a story from Yvette about her beautiful Cleo. and I will read it. Hi, Nancy and Ken. I am bereft. My soulmate Cleo, a 10-year-old cat, passed away on December 23rd. As you could guess at my having to estimate her age, she was a stray who a lady found cowering under her shed back in 2016. She came into my life when I searched for a cat to adopt just 12 days after buying my first house. I've always loved cats and found great comfort in their presence, even as far back as my turbulent childhood. In fact, a friend reminded me recently that when I bought my house, I said, I'm very excited about my new house, but I'm more excited about getting a cat. So I had her for 8 years and loved her so completely and utterly. She got me through some dark days as I lived on my own during COVID lockdowns, and especially recently as I received a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease last November. Cleo was with me through it all and was my comfort and joy in every day. She was a super smart and affectionate cat. She learned many tricks, including giving the paw, high-fiving, and the favorite among my friends and family, catching kibble in midair and holding it in her paws to eat it like a squirrel. She also had an adorable trait where if you kissed the top of her head, she would immediately return the affection by rubbing her face off yours. Her intelligence always surprised me. A few years after getting her, I put in a cat flap so she could have safe access to an enclosed back garden. Not wanting to leave her out at night, I would lock the cat flap every evening. Well, Cleo, being the smart cat she was, watched me doing this a few times and learned how to use her claws to turn the lock and unlock the cat flap for herself. I had to resort to putting a box in front of the cat flap. I'm happy to say that I took videos of pretty much all of these odd behaviors, and though they are hard to watch now, as the loss is so raw, I know that I will ultimately treasure them. The way that she died was so very tragic and something I will take a long time to come to terms with. She was ostensibly a very healthy cat, as every vet who saw her told me. She had her annual checkup, and the vet explained that she was in great condition, but had developed a tooth disease that is common among cats and had to get some teeth out. Though nervous about her undergoing a general anesthetic, I could not stand the thought of her being in pain, so went ahead with the extractions on December 17th. The vet described the dental surgery as textbook, and Cleo was discharged to me that evening. At first, she seemed to behave normally, looking for food and sitting in her usual spot on the radiator. Overnight, though, she started hiding and refused food. Worried, I called the dental vet in the morning, and she said if she continued to refuse food, I should bring her to my local vet for fluids the following day. I did this, and by that evening, the vet said she was originally much brighter, but had started displaying some odd neurological symptoms. I said I'd seen nothing like that, so I was allowed to take her home. In the whole fiasco, I think this was the only mistake that the vets who saw her made. I think this vet wasn't 100% sure what she saw, but I don't believe I should have been allowed to take her home if she had any doubt. That night, I stayed up with what was a very clearly suffering cat. It was the worst night of my life. She did not sleep a wink and would not lie down. She also would not accept any comfort from me, which was heartbreaking as I was always able to comfort her before. At 3 a.m., she cried at the back door to go out and just knew that she thought she was dying. And I suddenly realized that I thought this too. I took her back to my local vets the following morning. They ran tests and said they did find toxins in her blood that suggested that something happened, her kidneys, and with her kidneys. But again, they said that she was brighter and the issue would resolve. Later, though, she started to display more neurological symptoms again, and I was called in to see her and make a decision. Cleo was not suffering, but was very out of it and did not recognize me at all. The vet said her prognosis wasn't great, but that I could try getting her a CT scan to see what was going on. I brought her to another vet, and they CT'd her the following day and found a blood clot in her brain. Oddly enough, though, by the time they discovered the clot, she had stopped displaying the neurological symptoms and was very much with it and complaining about being poked and prodded. I was told the vets would monitor her for a few days and hopefully could then send her home for recuperation before Christmas. She was a very anxious cat, and all these vet visits weren't good for her. I went to visit her on the 22nd, and as soon as she heard my voice, she started meowing like crazy. The vet tech said she hadn't made a peep for days. So I spent some quality time with her. I gave her all the scratches and kisses that I could muster. And she suddenly started purring, something that the vet tech said, again, that they had not heard from her. So I was told I would be taking her home the following day. I wasn't counting my chickens, so I said my goodbyes just in case. I told her how much I loved and cherished her, and we had a long, slow, blinking section back and forth. On the morning of the 23rd of December, the day I was told I'd be taking her home, I got a call from the vet to say her heart had stopped, and they were keeping her alive for me to say my goodbyes. So I needed to get there ASAP. I got there through horrendous holiday traffic, and the vet said, "I'm so sorry for frightening you. Her heart is now beating steadily, and I think she's going to be okay." But then her heart stopped a second time as I spoke soothing words to her. The vet managed to get her back a second time, but she flatlined once more, and the vet decided it was enough for the poor little thing and put her to sleep as I stood there in shock and complete despair. So, why did I decide to share my story at such a low point in my life? Well, I have listened to a number of pet loss podcasts these past 2 weeks, and it seems many pet owners talk about seeing the animal again in some sort of afterlife. Unfortunately for me, I don't believe in the afterlife or anything spiritual, so I cannot get any comfort from this. I think that Cleo was here and now she is gone, and I will never see her again. This thought leaves me completely heartbroken, of course, but I cannot make myself believe otherwise, and I suspect that there might be other bereaved pet owners out there with similar thoughts. But for some reason, I feel completely confident in how I'm going to get over this, and the answer is gratitude. I think over time, the grief I feel will lessen, and while it will never disappear, I will start to focus instead on the pure dumb luck it was to have such an adorable, affectionate, smart, and comforting cat in my life, even if it was cut so cruelly short. I'm currently still too deep in grief to see the wood for the trees, and even writing above about the good times was hard, but I have this very strong conviction that a day will come that I will feel so overwhelmingly grateful to have shared some of my life with this unique and sweet-natured little four-legged companion. She was in my life for some really rough times, and although I will adopt another cat at some stage, I know there will never be another Cleo. I will hold her in my heart forever, and that is how she will really live on. Thank you for the work you do and for taking the time to read this email. I have attached 2 photos of Cleo so you can see for yourself what a sweet little thing she was. So this is interesting, right? With the concept of her not believing, right, at all in the afterlife.
Yeah, and as she said, there are many, many people who are with her, I'm sure. And it's something that she gets to that firm, and she bolded the word gratitude. She
Yes.
gets very firmly focused on gratitude. And it's really beautiful, I think,
Yeah.
that's the way she understands how she'll hold on to the memory of her beloved Cleo.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that I think about some of what she said is that, boy, if you can get there, that's where we all want to be. We want to be in a place where the pain eventually is less, and yet we're able to feel grateful for the relationship that we had. And as she said too, that the serendipity of having found one another in the way that they did. And so, I mean, it's very interesting the way people think about spirituality. Like, to me, that is evidence of being connected in a way that's bigger than oneself.
Mhm.
But to her, she doesn't see it that way. So that
Right.
whatever
That's
works.
right.
And it's, but the process that she outlines for herself is brilliant, I think,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
that's the way we all want to work it through is we want to feel our pain and then understand and see at least at some point in the future that we will always be grateful for having had this beautiful friend in our lives.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was reading it initially, I thought, "Oh, where is she gonna go with that?" And then gratitude, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what we all will get to, even if we are spiritual and believe in afterlife or not.
right.
We do want gratitude for the life we had and the gifts they have given us, even though they are no longer with us.
Yeah, and I know the final, some of the final words in our book were that at some point your pain will lessen, but you'll hold on to the gratitude for having had them with you when you did. And so she's really got that. She's really got that, and it's powerful to be
Mhm.
able, even in early grief, to look forward to that.
To
It's really
right,
powerful.
understand that that's where she wants to go. And look, we've all talked about that you're gonna grieve for your beautiful companion forever, but what will happen is that those gifts, that gratitude will come in, even if you're still sad that your companion isn't with you
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
And you incorporate that into that last task, into living your life, knowing that you do have gratitude and you had this wonderful relationship and they're part of you.
yeah, yeah. So we have a comment, just a quick comment. Sarge Boo, I appreciate you both. Thank you. So thank you so much for saying that. It's very
Yes,
nice
thank
to
you.
hear. And again, if other people listening can give a thumbs up or make a comment, that just helps the algorithm to make the program more visible to others who may benefit. So I'll just punctuate that right now, and then we're going to move on to Yvette. But thank you. I'm sorry. Move
Yep,
on
that. Thank you.
to Laura, and I want to thank you that again for sharing her story and for sharing her perspective because I agree
Yes,
with
I
her that
think that
that's going
that's
to be really resonant with many people.
I also wanna just comment, Ken, for a second. What that Cleo went through at the end, I mean, the heart was there, heart stopped, or whatever. All of these
That
things
was,
that happened over a
yeah,
week or a couple days was
yeah,
really quite disturbing. I mean, for her to live through Cleo to live through that,
yeah,
she was
yeah,
not there, and then she was, and then she I mean, we really don't know what happened. Supposedly there was some neurological there was a tumor or
yeah,
something with her brain, but it all she was okay and then not okay. I don't that was a very, very stressful thing for her to go
yeah, yeah, for sure. And thank you for the thumbs up and the heart. We always appreciate that. That's helpful. And so we're going to move on to Laura. And Laura wrote to us actually back in March of last year about
Oh,
her beautiful
Mozzie,
little Mozzie.
oh, Mozzie.
So this is a follow up. And she writes, "Hello, Ken and Nancy. This is Mozzie's mom. I wrote to you in July. And maybe I have the dates messed up a little bit.
Right,
I
it's
wrote to you
Mozzie.
in July, a painful month marking the first July 23rd without our birthday boy. We celebrated his life and love as best as we could. I think we always will. We made it through the holidays, a tough period for us, and our son, who just turned 5. In about October, my son finally seemed to grasp the concept of death and its permanence. I find myself thankful for that in some ways, as I am in a far better place to support him in his grief now than I was when Mozzie first died in March of last year. My son has rotated through a few stuffed animal pugs and just recently found one that brings him a lot of comfort. So thankful for that and thankful for your discussions regarding grief and children. Anyways, I wanted to thank you for all you have done with the work of your book and podcast. I want to especially thank you for the time and thoughtful care and communication you gifted me as I came to you with my grief. It was your podcast episode with Angela Shook that led me on the road to explore becoming a doula. And I'm starting 2025 with the launch of my teeny tiny part-time doula business. Small for now, with hopes to grow it into a full-time career. I absolutely felt I needed to thank you and acknowledge your impact in my life and through the journey over the last year that brought me to this new place. I continue to listen to your podcast, learning new things about grief all the time. I know your podcast will certainly be recommended to my clients as well. I hope your holidays were peaceful and spent with ones you love. Thank you. Thank you. With gratitude, Laura. And so,
Really, really cool about Laura.
yeah, I mean, that's
I mean, a
great.
tech doula. I mean, this is really, something that came out. She and I went back and forth. I think you did too with her a little
Mhm.
bit with emails. And, this was Mozzie's gift to her, right?
Yeah,
That she would
yeah.
follow through to do this wonderful new career that's going to help so many people.
Such a testament
Mhm.
to their connection and to also such a testament to Laura's generosity and her creativity
Yeah.
in deciding that she's going to open her doula practice. We also want to just mention Angela Shook. She was a brilliant guest,
Yes.
wonderful to have with us. And her
Yes.
last name is Shook, in case you're want to look her up. And Laura is owner of Doula at Good Souls. So I want to punctuate that as well. Good
Mhm.
Souls End of Life Doula, all run together. Good Souls endoflifedoula.com. And so we wish her good luck
Oh my God,
with her
goodness.
business. And it's such a wonderful thing. And for those of you who are not really, or maybe not familiar with the word, doula is essentially a compassionate, supportive, very knowledgeable companion and resource person when you're going through
And Laura.
anticipatory grief or the grief that you've just encountered at the moment of loss, and can be a very powerful source of assistance.
Comfort,
Yeah, comfort.
caring.
Yep, yep.
And I think that that's so interesting that, again, I've talked about this with Ellie that, if you go into the soul contracts, right? We have talked about that. I mean, over here and there. And I believe now that Ellie was given to me to help me get through my veterinary social work certificate.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I ended that certificate and then started working as a veterinary social worker, which I've been meaning, I wanted to do this forever. But I started in April and she died in July.
Hmm.
And I think that that was her contract with me. And I'm forever grateful, right? Here's the gratitude because that's what I wanted to do. She saw me through that. And then her contract with me was done. Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's such a loving and thoughtful way of making sense of
yeah,
the role that we play and we play in the lives of our animal companions, and they play in our lives in the ways that we support and challenge and help one another. And it's also very consistent with one of our guests who talked about how our animal companions are here to teach us something, to help
yeah,
us through a time in our lives, and their leaving is in some ways, the way that she described it, is planned to continue teaching us.
right.
And it's something that you describe it that way. And there are so many ways to make sense of what happens in our relationships and how they end, because they will almost always end with an animal. Well, certainly with a dog or cat, if we're not very elderly ourselves, because we're almost certain to outlive them.
Yeah.
And so, but we've heard stories like this
Mm-hmm.
of Laura's, where people lose an animal companion and it inspires them to move into some kind of really fulfilling business. Erica Messner is another one
Right.
with her grief
That's it.
cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and just
That's right.
yeah. So something to see that our animals sometimes inspire us in ways that are really powerful and life changing. Even.
Yes. And also, they give us great gifts, even
Yep.
if it's learning patience or to live in the moment
Yep.
or to enjoy life in a different way.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
we humans, we just rush through things. I mean, it's been a very crazy world with, everything instantaneous, and animals make us slow up, right?
Yeah.
And take a
Yeah.
breath
Yeah.
and play with them and be with them and cuddle with them, and take a look at our lives in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah. So many gifts.
Hmm.
So we have a few more
Yeah,
comments. We have a comment from Terry who says, "So very grateful for your podcast and share it with others often. Thank you for what you do." And thank you so much,
Terry.
Terry, for your kind words. And also Laura. Anne says, "Thank you both." And there's a great picture of
Yeah.
her and somebody who I think is probably pretty close to her. And, and thank you as well, Laura Ann. And I guess that's our program for today. So thank you, Laura, and thank you,
Yvette.
Yvette, for sharing your stories. And we
And
wish
thank
you
you
both
for
great
comments.
fortune and the
Right.
great comments as well. And Laura, best of luck to you. Keep us posted
Yes.
on the business and how it's going. And if you're interested in speaking with a doula, consider Laura, consider
And
Angela,
and also
and
Kate LaSala, right?
Kate
Isn't she
LaSala. Yeah, she's a
she's a
doula as well.
doula?
So there's a number of people who we've been in contact with who do that work, and they're all wonderful, loving souls, and invariably they've been through these kinds of loss experiences themselves. It's often what inspires a person to take this on as a career path. So Nancy, great speaking with you as always,
Yes.
and
We will
we'll get
talk.
together again next week.
Take care, everyone.
Good.